How do we think? What processes do we use to solve problems? Can these processes be learned? We're going to kind of unpack ways to increase the degree of critical thinking that you're currently using in your classroom in this session. So what do we know about critical thinking? Although many aspects of human cognition are still a mystery, psychologists have begun to flesh out critical thinking, or the strategies we use to think in organized ways to analyze and solve problems. Here's what we know. Teaching and modeling is a must in classrooms. We must model critical thinking. Mixed method interventions as well as explicit critical thinking instruction have found to be effective. Performance-based assessment is a more valid measure of critical thinking than any other kind of assessment that you could be doing in a classroom. Critical thinking is often best assessed within real-world scenario contexts. And although used as proxies for critical thinking, intelligence tests do not address decision-making and reasoning, or vital aspects of critical thinking. And your lower performing students benefit from the metacognitive strategies that they learn. The link between critical thinking and education is obvious. One can't learn well without thinking well. Critical thinking contributes to career success, but also to success in higher education. In a research study conducted by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they found that habits of mind, such as analysis, interpretation, precision, and accuracy, problem solving and reasoning, can be as or more important than content knowledge in determining success in college courses. Teaching critical thinking and problem solving effectively in a classroom is vital for students. Learning critical thinking leads students to develop other skills such as higher level of concentration, deeper analytical abilities, and improved thought processes. Today's citizens must be active critical thinkers if they are to compare evidence, evaluate competing claims, and make sensible decisions. Today's 21st century families must sift through a whole array of information regarding finances, health, what's happening governmentally, leisure activities. The solutions to international problems, such as global warming, require highly developed critical thinking and problem-solving abilities. In everyday work, employees must employ critical thinking to better serve customers, develop better products, and continuously improve themselves with an ever-changing global economy. Economists Frank Levy and Richard Bundane have described the new world of work in which the most desirable jobs, the ones least likely to be automated or outsourced, are those that require expert thinking and complex communication. According to a 2010 critical skills survey, 73% of business executives polled identified critical thinking as a priority for employee development and talent management. So what do we mean by critical thinking? I mean the ability to reason effectively through a variety of types of reasoning as they engage with a problem. Systems thinking, how do we analyze the parts of a whole, and how does that interact with each other to produce an overall outcome in complex systems? They need to learn how to make judgments and decisions. They need to effectively analyze and evaluate evidence, claims, beliefs, analyze it for alternative points of view, make sense of it, synthesize it, make connections, interpret it, come up with some conclusions based on their best analysis, and reflect critically on the experience and processes. And they need to be able to solve problems, all kinds of problems, unfamiliar problems, in both conventional and very innovative, creative ways. So characteristics of critical thinking that skills that students need is they need to recognize the assumptions that they carry with them. Have you ever wondered why you believe the things that you believe? Do you believe things because you've been told to believe them? Step outside your own beliefs to observe from a neutral point of view. Be aware of the assumptions and learn to self-reflect. They need to process information honestly. People sometimes pass along information that's not really true, in the new fake news world. For an example of this, all you have to do is take a look at Facebook And we're all guilty of reading posts that make funny or outrageous claims and passing them along without checking for accuracy. We need to recognize generalizations, such as girls don't like bugs, old people are wise, cats are better pets. These are generalizations. They're not always true, are they? We need to be able to evaluate old information and new ideas. There was a time when doctors thought leeches could cure us. Thank goodness some doctor somewhere decided to challenge that belief. We need to produce new ideas based on sound evidence. Detectives solve crimes by collecting bits of truth and putting them all together like a puzzle. One small deceit can jeopardize an investigation. The entire truth-seeking process is destabilized by one piece of bad evidence, and this leads to a wrong conclusion. You don't need to learn how to analyze a problem and recognize the complex parts. A mechanic must understand how an entire engine works before she or he can diagnose a problem. Sometimes it is necessary to deconstruct an engine to figure out which part isn't working. You should approach big problems like this, break them down into smaller parts, and observe carefully and deliberately. Students need to learn how to use precise vocabulary and communicate with clarity. The truth can be blurred by fuzzy language, and it is important to develop your vocabulary so you can communicate truths accurately. You need to manage emotions in response to a situation or problem. Don't be fooled by stirred up emotional speech like a loosey-goosey. Stay rational. Keep your emotions in check as you encounter new information. And finally, they need to learn how to judge their sources. Learn to recognize hidden agendas and biases when you collect information. So as students progress through schooling, they must develop these critical thinking skills in order to carry out research. Students will learn to identify good sources and bad sources and make logical conclusions and develop new theories. So this is the last of the C's that you're going to take a look at. And so you're going to do the same type of activity, but this time focusing on how you can increase critical thinking in your sequence of lessons. Again, I encourage you to maybe wrap all 4 C's up, or as many of them as you can, to keep bumping up the level of your C's in the classroom. But this particular activity, we're really focused on the critical thinking aspect of it.